Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Other. Yeah, so, I gotta fix my camera. There we go. Um, One of you guys was gracious enough to send me this. You guys were talking about this on the Wisp Talk forum. That place has become quite the nightmare. Um, so this is a mini DC UPS POE 01. You can buy these on Amazon. You can buy them on AliExpress. What is it? I'm going to dial down my gain a little bit too. Ba, 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 ba. There we go. All right, what is it? This is a device that you can plug into AC, and it will give you a 48 or 24 volts DC out. It gives you 9 and 12 volts out. It gives you a USB out. I'm not going to say 5 volts, a USB out, okay? The idea here is that if the power fails, that it will continue running your devices. So you can use a jumper like this to plug into a home router and then have your PoE go to your CPE. That's the idea here, right? So that's what I'm going to assess tonight. Now, those of you who have been watching my channel for a while, you're probably used to seeing me have the, up here in the corner, the face cam. But you know what? I get so many digs about being, well, I'm not going to get into it. So I'm just, you know what? This video, I'm tired, I'm pissy, I'm groggy. Fuck it. I don't care. I'm just going to do the video, get it out of the way, and you guys can enjoy that while I drink my green sludge. Yeah, got some awesome green sludge there. All right, so first of all, let's see the Book of Lies. That's what I like to call these things. Okay, so it's made in China. It says that it's CE certified, FCC certified, blah, 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 blah. I highly doubt that, but because most of these things, just because it's got a stamp on it, doesn't mean it's real. So, first of all, this thing says that it's 5 volts, 3 amps, 15 watts. That might potentially be the first lie. This is a multi-output and high-performance PoE UPS with high transform efficiency PCB board and eco-friendly lithium-ion battery inbuilt. The multiple outputs of USB, DC, and PoE can supply power to your network devices at the same time. Please read the user manual carefully before you use PoE UPS. Well, there's really not a lot to it. I mean, you know, this is all the stuff that if you don't already realize this, somebody should probably beat you with a rubber hose. Maximum power output total 36 watts. Okay. 5 volt, 3 amp, 15 watts. 9 volt is 2 amps, 18 watts. 12 volt output is 2 amps, 24 watts. And the PoE output, 24/48 volts. But here's something which struck me as interesting. It said somewhere here that it's, where was it? I think it's on the cover. Supports Quick Charge 3.0, the USB. So we'll take a look at that in a minute. Suitable for 98% of devices in the market. Blah, blah, blah. Sorry, I can't spoke properly. I have severe brain damage. So yeah, it's pretty much the same thing on the back here that's in the booklet. There's really nothing more advanced in the booklet. When stored, the UPS will discharge over time. Duh. Do not open the UPS. There are no user serviceable parts. All right. When stored, blah, blah, blah. Dispose of the UPS properly for the blah, 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 blah. Do you want this? I don't. Whatever. All right. It's good for 50 or 60 hertz, so this will work in any country. 100 volts to 50, 60 hertz, 240 volts, blah, blah, blah. So you can easily toss this North American a safety death trap here into the garbage, and you can use a European compatible plug. Okay, so there's the basic overview. All right, on with the show. This is the part that you guys really want to see. I'm sure of that. Yeah. All right, so I want to start with the USB because actually, obviously, I already fucked around with this thing before I even did this video, okay? I have to. I have to test all this stuff before I do a video, otherwise I'll look like a fool, right? So first of all, here's my USB tester. I am going to plug in my Samsung Galaxy S20 FE, and I'm going to plug this into the USB port and see if you notice anything funny. It actually says fast charging. So it lied about the 5 volts because it's actually doing 9 volts. It is actually quick charge compliant. So we're getting 9 volts, 1.64 amps out of this charger right now. So this is charging at what? Like, what's that? Let's go So I'm going to say roughly about 15 watts. Yeah, which that is true. It said 15 watts on there. So this thing, and by the way, I'm being facetious because obviously it was lying in a good way in the manual. The box itself is honest, so it says quick charge. So as you can see here, we are getting fast charge out of this. So we can actually get 15 watts out of the 5 volt. Now I want to try a second experiment with this. I want to take it back down to actual just dumb 5 volt USB. Let's plug in a 2 amp. I'm going to set this resistor pack for 2 amps and see what happens. Yeah, well, it's definitely staying stable at 5.12 at 1.8 amps. Well, she's getting toasty. Don't turn off your screen, you stupid thing. Oh yeah, it's getting hot. All right, so now let's do one more USB test, okay? Get rid of my cell phone. Put the cable aside, and let's start using one of my favorite toys. This little awesome thing that my friends in California introduced me to. All right, so we're going to plug in a USB 80 USB micro, whatever. And let's see what the 5 volt maximum is, just out of curiosity. So I actually maxed out the 2 amp when I tested this, so I'm just going to try the course adjustment. 2.2 amps, you should be able to see that on the screen right here. 3 amps. So there we are stable at 4.3 volts, 3 amps. You can see it for yourself, ladies, gentlemen, and other. Look at that. So I'm really happy with that test, okay? So that's our first test, okay? So, you know what I should do? Let's try this. Unplug the power. Yeah, it's stable. Hasn't moved at all, so that's good. I mean, God, there's so much in-depth testing I could do on this thing. I got to put a load on the batteries and check and see that the amp hours is truly 104,000 milliamp hours, which is actually 10 amp hour. We'll find out if this thing's 10 amp hour. Just by looking at the cells, really. Okay, so that's the first trick that this monkey's going to do. Alright, so we've done that test. Okay, so now let's see what the DC jacks will do. Oh yes, I am going to drag out getting to the POE aspect of it, because why the hell would I want to make you guys happy? Who fucking cares? This is all for my sick pleasure. Alright, so here we go. So we're on the 12 volt jack right now. Take a look at that. We got out, LAN in, LAN out, 24, 48 volts, 9 volts, 12 volts, right? Obviously, you would connect the customer's router to the 12 volt and connect your radio to the POE in, and then this would jump to the... You get the idea. Okay, so let's do a fine adjustment. Let's see where this thing falls on its face. Okay, so it said that it can do 2 amps. Let's try to get it up to 2 amps. We're at 2. I'm going to pull out the manual here. Yeah, it says 9 volts and 12 volts should both be able to do 2 amps. So we're at 2.07. Let's see if there's any wiggle room. 2.12. 2.15. 2.2. 2. Oh, there we go. 2.2 is about where she calls her. Okay, and let's try the same thing locked at 2 amps. Let's just move it over to the 9 volts. Does not like that. Okay, so here we go. We're at 1.7 amps, 9 volts, 1.8. It's pretty stable power. I'm actually really impressed with that. 1.99 at 9 volts. Oh. It collapsed at 1.99. So 1.96 seems stable. 1.9, yeah. Once you get it up to 2 amps on 9, it just can't take it. But it's pretty stable otherwise. Yeah. Let's try it at 9.4. I think 1.95 is the hard limit on her. If you want something that's reliable. You can see, like, as soon as I try to take it over that, it's just done. Alright, so that's 12 volt, that's the 9 volt. We've tested both of those. Blah, 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 blah. Alright, now, let us move on to the next step. I want to test and see what the... I want to see what this POE is capable of doing. So let's try this. Okay, so we're on 24 volts right now. 24 volt setting. I'm going to plug this into the port or the POE now. That hurts the nails. All right, here we go. Dial it up. And it says I can do 0.5 at 48 or 1 at 24. So let's try her. Dialing, 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 dialing. And we're climbing, we're climbing. I want some more of my horrible green juice. Doesn't that look like almost like raw sewage? It's yummy. It's got wheatgrass in it. 0.94, 0.96, 0.99, 1.01. All right, let's see if we can get her up a little bit higher. So that's 24 watts so far. 1.1, 1.2. Yeah, 1.23, it fell on its face. Let's find the exact voltage. 1.20, we're going to call it. Let's switch it over to 48 volts now. Let's see if this will hit 0.7. 0.5 is not much. So it's about, yeah, it's about 24 watts, yeah. Come on, little guy. You can do it. I got faith in you. Oh, we're starting to move. 0.3. The fine adjustment on this is very fine, and that's what I really appreciate. 0.5, it topples. All right, I'm going to take it back just a... Oh, there we go. 0.4. 0.47, 0.49, 0.5, it falls on its face. Okay, so this has an auto reset fuse in it. Every single one of the ports has an auto reset fuse. That's wonderful. It's a little thermal fuse, which is awesome. I would say 0.45 is probably a safe bet here. And let's pull up the power and see what happens. Yep, she's stable. So this is basically a not a line interactive. This is an online based on my assumption. Okay, so I'm going to do some math here. Let's see here. Let's see, 47.9 times 0.44. 21 watts we can get off a 48 volt bus. Okay, cool. So we've done all that testing. Now I want to do a little bit of electrical testing. So bear with me a moment while I get my multimeter out of my multimeter drawer. I'm going to get Old Faithful here, my favorite orange unit. And I'm just going to throw this on the floor because my place is a disaster right now, which it seems to always be because I'm usually too tired to do anything. Okay, alas. Life is fleeting. Always embrace it because you never know when the end might come. Some people get long ones, some people get short ones. All right. Let's go to our continuity tester and you'll see why I'm doing this in just a moment. All right, does it beep? It beeps. Okay, so this has a ground on it, which doesn't seem very useful considering it's got a non-polarized AC connector on it. So I just want to see if that ground is actually purposeful at all. No, there's no reference to the pins, which makes sense because there's no ground and no polarity. Does the ground carry over to the 5 volt? No. Where does the ground go on that? Yeah, so if you're using one of these things, make damn sure that you're using a grounded lightning arrestor on the outside of the house. Now, actually, what I should do, let's do another little test here. I am going to... Where is a jumper, jumper, jumper? I want a jumper. La, 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 la. Let's run this to the negative on my... Or, sorry, the ground on my multimeter. Okay. Or my power supply. The ground on my power supply. Let's run this to the ground on my power supply. Now that I have earth, I should be able to touch this to something that's connected to earth, and I should be able to get a ground signal. Wow, that's... actually, I never bothered testing that on my... Wait, are you telling me that this... Holy crap, I didn't realize that, but I don't have a true ground reference on my my DC power supply. That's terrifying. There, I'll just hang it out of the... let's try that. That should work. Might have to hold that into the plug. Yep, that works for me. Okay, so I'm just going to hold that into the plug, and let's see if there is a voltage differential. I'm going to go over here to AC. Nope, good. So there's like zero reference, so at least that part's safe. Okay, so now let us crack it open. Now, of course, I already took out a few of the screws on this thing, so it was quick, because nobody likes watching people take screws out. And especially when you're trying to fill space in a video. Blah, 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 I'm filling space. Oh, look. La, 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 la. Alright, here we go. So let's open it up and see what we got. Oh, nice. Alright, so we've got it open. What do we got inside of here? Oh, look! This is something which I like to see. The AC supply is air-gapped from the DC supply. Finally. Oh my god, that really bothered me with the previous versions of this, because that's not cool. That's not safe. So now this one is much better. But look at the space in here. I mean, Jesus. You could fit another, what do we got here? 1, 2, 3, 4. We've got 4 cells in here. I could probably fit 5, 6, 7. I could probably put 7 cells in here. And, yeah, you'd have way more storage. You'd have way more power capability in this thing. That could be a mod. Let's just check and see what the voltage is that comes off of the batteries here. I'm willing to bet that this is a 4S, so it's probably going to be somewhere around, what is that, 3 times 4, 12. So this might be around 13 volts. Oh, I want to put this on DC. I don't want amps. There we go. Voltage, 20 volts. What do we got here? So the battery pack is showing 16 volts. So those batteries are definitely fully charged up to 4.2. Hold on a second. What do we got here? 16.7? 16.7 divided by 4. Yeah, they're all at exactly 4.2. So this is actually charging at 4.2 volts. That's a little bit high for lithium, because if I'm not mistaken, most lithium, you want to keep them around 3.7 per cell. But I mean, that just makes sure that these things are fully charged. Now, what kind of batteries do we have inside of these things? They look like they're decent. TP lithium ion. These look like the same company that LG uses. It says that each of these cells are 2600 milliamp hour. All right, so let's do the math on that then. All right, so what's 2600 times 4, first of all? Okay, 10.4. All right, so that's 10.4. All right, but watch this. Okay, so that says 10 amp hour, but you have to remember, these guys are in series creating a 16 volt pack, okay? Which means this is 16 volts, 2600 or 2.6 amp hour. So it's kind of misleading that way, right? But let's see what our watt hours are now. So let's say the average radio uses about 10 watts. So let's see here, divided by 24 volts equals 433. Okay, so what we're going to do here is we are going to get our total watt hours. So we're going to go 16.7 times 26. Oh, sorry. I need to go back one. 2.6 equals. So that's 43 watt hours. Okay. So let's divide that by 6 watts. So theoretically, you could get about 7 hours of one of these guys. Okay. Theoretically, you can get 7 hours out of one of these guys. Definitely, you can get about 5 hours out of it. Now, what I should actually do is I should actually just set one up in the yard and hook up a router and test it. So if we took, let's do this again. Okay, so 16 times 2.6 equals 41. Okay, so 41. So let's just round it off to 40. So we've got 40 watt hours here. Now, if we took the average home router is about 20 watts. So let's take 27 watts. Okay, so if we go 40 divided by 27 for the home router plus the CPE, you could get about an hour and a half, maybe an hour out of this thing. So that's not terrible. All right, so now let's take a look at this thing. So where the hell does the ground go on this, by the way? That bothers me. The ground goes nowhere. I mean, it's a grounded port, but what's the purpose of a grounded port if it doesn't go anywhere? All right, so we've got this thing open. Separate power board. The power board is actually air gapped. Now, something really nice here is, look at this. That is a lightning gap right there. So the purpose of that is that if there is an arc that's coming in from the line, like a transient surge, they'll gap right here. Isn't that cool? So that's a great way to mitigate damage from a storm. So that's actually a clever design to implement. They've also beefed up some of these traces as well with extra solder. So that's really cool. They've done some good stuff. Let's see what's on the other side of the power board now. You know, I was ready to say this thing's a flaming piece of shit, but so far it's not garbage. I'm actually not disappointed so far. That's a fairly standard cheap switching power supply. Um, what do we got here? There's a full bridge rectifier right there. Full bridge rectifier! Electro boom. What kind of caps have we got in here? Let's see here. Oh, we got an MOV, so that's good. So we've got some diodes here. Let's see here. Yes. So there is a bit of protection built into this thing. All right. We've got our MOV right there, which will dead short. And then there's a fuse right here, so it's nice. It's got a surface mount, or not a surface mount. It's got one of those little enclosed fuses. The idea of the MOV is that if it takes a fault, it will short dead. Like, it'll dead short, right? And they'll pop that fuse. So what can happen is a storm could come through where you can get a power surge. It'll exceed the rated voltage of the MOV. The MOV will short, pop that fuse, and this board might still be fine. You'd really only need to remove the MOV, replace the fuse, and then do a test and see if it works. And if it works after that, you're good. But the other thing as well is, look at this. This is such a simple power board that realistically, if you really wanted to, and I'm sure that the insurance companies would hate that, but you could send something like this to a company like ours. Like, there's quite a few repair companies here. We're ISP Technology, what pays the bread and butter. I do the consulting. Thomas does the repairs on radios, routers, switches, you name it. We even fix cable head ends and all that, right? So something like that could have been sent to us. I know that they're cheap, but I mean, for the sake of environmental consideration, if you're sending a box of radios to us for repairs, you could easily throw like a few of these guys in there, and then I would be the one fixing these, and we could send them back. So I mean, you're already paying like $60 or something to send us like a 100-pound box of radios. You could very easily toss a whole bunch of these in the box, get us to repair them, ship them back, and now you've got these guys back in the field. So this thing's still running, by the way. The DC board is entirely separate. So let's get the DC board out of it. Now, you know what I should do? Let me just put this back. No. You want to look at things. Here we go. So let's just... I'm making noises. My body makes noises too. It's fascinating, especially after I eat a big helping of anything Mexican and anything greasy. Okay, so let's get this out of here. What's really neat, actually, this is a cool consideration, is this little board here is very simple. It's just like a little push cell. They've just basically got pegs, and then they push the soldering iron down on them, and it presses these into place. But it's a daughter board, so I can simply unplug it. I like that. Alright, so let's take a look at what we've got here now. So it looks like we've got some protection diodes on here. That's good. This looks like it was baked and their oven was dirty because there's definitely a brownish haze on the board. But hey, whatever. I mean, as long as the part doesn't look like it's going to explode or kill anyone. Alright, so here's our Ethernet ports. They pass through this transformer here. So it does actually have a transformer in place for the POE injection, of course. Fuse. Very, very simple. Here's your VRs. Here's all of your voltage regulators on the voltage regulator board. We've got some buck conversion going on here. There's definitely protection circuitry in line with the Ethernet, so that will help protect your equipment. But this grounding, it looks like it's completely isolated here. So there's no ground references anywhere. This doesn't even reference back into the board, so let's see here. Alright, so I'm going to go to the ground on here. I'm just going to hold it with my hand. And I'm going to tap the pins. Of course, I've got it there. Now let's try the USB. No. So the ground is completely isolated. So, I mean, at the very least, there's that. That's a good thing. The ground is isolated here. What would have been a good consideration on the company's part is to actually have like a little TVS screw on the back of this enclosure like you would see on many UPSs, where you can actually put a ground wire or by making this thing an actual 3-pin connector that has the ground on it. But of course that changes the certification if it has a ground on it. But adding the TVS screw connected to that would actually very much alleviate that. Now, don't you guys go DIYing that and adding a ground screw on there. Like I said, you just want to use an outdoor lightning arrestor and put it in line with your CPE and ground it properly according to your local code. Now, that's all that there is to it. There's really not a lot to this thing. If there's anything else you guys want to know, which I'd love to tell you guys the brand on these capacitors, but it's just a symbol, you know, like the artist formerly known as Prince. So, I mean, I think I've done everything that I can. There once was a man from Nantucket. So, I mean, if you guys have any other questions, just by all means, just leave them in the comments below. Yeah. And I'll try to answer them as I always read comments, because I've got a small channel, not even at 4,000 subs yet. So, I mean, if you leave a comment, I will probably answer it, unless it's something silly. And I have seen some really weird comments. Or, you know, if you're just one of those people who likes to say horrible things to me on the comment section, I typically just delete those ones. Let's see here. I think I've got to put this back in on an angle. So this is kind of... Oh, no, maybe I don't. Hold on. Let's see if it's in there. Is she in? I think she's in. Yep, there we go. It has to seat properly on these guys. So let's just put this guy back together, and then I'll let you all go, and you guys can go on your merry way. And don't forget to like and subscribe on the channel. And if you want to help feed me, I have a Patreon. Now, the Patreon is kind of different now. I don't use it to support the YouTube channel anymore. It just goes to supporting me. Because I just do one takes and I don't edit. But, yeah. I also offer my consulting services cost effectively to those who are on my Patreon. So sometimes there's people who just want to ask questions and just need a little bit of help here and there. And so what I did was, instead I changed the model of the Patreon so you can jump on there, and reasonably, if you need help, then I will give you a hand with stuff or help answer questions and whatnot, so that way I'm still staying fed in one of the most expensive countries in the world to live in. And yeah, you're getting the help that you need. Now, I do help people for free. That's what my YouTube channel's for. So you can watch my videos and learn things, or get answers to questions on my YouTube channel. But, yeah, I think that's enough dead air space to fill in. I've probably said something idiotic, too. But I also have a Facebook group, but I'm barely on Facebook anymore because it's a horrible, toxic nightmare that basically turns people against each other and brings out the worst in everyone. Yeah, you can usually send me messages through the Ms.Fixit chat, and sometimes I will answer them on there. So there you go, guys. And thank you, my friend, who has sent me this device to tear down and analyze and scrutinize. I did look up the CE certification number, because he actually sent me the CE certification sheets that the seller sent him, and I'm not entirely sure that I did it right, because when I looked at the CE certifications to make sure that they were valid, it came back that those certification numbers did not exist. So I've never actually looked up CE certifications to validate them. So if you want to do that on your own, by all means, that is how you're going to find out if the CE or the safety certifications are valid or not. So don't take my word for it. But what I found was that this doesn't have real ones. Also, one final note is this is good from -20 to plus 65C. So, yeah, there we go. I think that is literally everything that you need to know about this device. I mean, I might do a video where I hook up a router to this thing and then a CPE and set it out in the yard and see what happens, but and like time it, you know. But maybe I'll get around to it eventually. At least this was a quick and easy video to make. We're at what? How many minutes? We're at 29 minutes. All right, so I hope that you guys found this video useful. Sorry I'm not as energetic and comedic as I usually am, but I'm just really tired lately. Always tired. Forever tired. I should pick up a cocaine habit or something. Ugh, if I didn't hate the shit so much. Anyway, Ciao, guys. Love you all. Have a good night. Bye.